Hey guys, welcome to season 2. As you can see, I'm doing something a little different this time. The first season, I just kind of went into it and, didn't really, set a mood or anything like that. So this season, I wanted to set a mood and really, create a vibe. So, grab your drinks, whether it's water, juice, tea, coffee, wine, cocktail. I do not discriminate. And let's have a conversation. You know how I do. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something that I'm still actively dealing with, very freshly so. But I feel like this particular episode is going to be so therapeutic for me because I really don't even know what tools I require. And I'm really just going to be really shooting the shit and talking. And I'm really just going to tell you guys like what my experience has been. And I really hope that, we can have some conversations, feel free to drop tips. Feel free to take any tips that I might provide. Feel free to let's have a conversation. Let's be a support system for one another. And yeah, let's get into it. So, I just recently suffered a loss. And this is not my first time experiencing loss. I've definitely went through loss as a child and a teenager, but this is my first time experiencing loss as an adult. And it's really really difficult. When everything started to really take a turn for the worst, of course I didn't take it well. I think one thing that I should note is I do not take loss well, and I don't take bad situations well. So if I know that there's a possibility that your life is at risk, I really don't take that well. I try to, but when it comes down to someone's life and the uncertainty, it's really hard for me to grasp because I really do have a fear of death. And I probably really shouldn't, but that's just the honest truth. And that's not even only within myself, it's even within people around me. I'm scared to lose people around me, and I'm scared to lose my own life. So, yes, I've definitely, went through this loss. And when things started to really take a turn for the worst, I had to try to find different ways to get ahead of it. I went and I bought a book to prepare me for the grieving process. I started at some point speaking in past tense, trying to get myself, used to speaking in past tense. Also, I've done some writing, just basically whatever comes to my mind, I wrote down, even if it didn't make sense, even if it looked like jibber jabber. I have a pretty good system as it pertains to, supportful friends who is just a listening ear at the end of the day. I have comfort shows that I watch, and I really just try to um think of the memories. I look through photos, I watch old videos, um, and I try to just kind of think of the parts that made me laugh about said person, and just really being able to, feel my emotions. Before, I would feel my emotions, but I always felt like I didn't want to overwhelm someone else with my emotions. And this time around, I don't want to go through that because when I did do that in the past as a kid, I realized that it slowed my grieving process down. And I mean, you really never stop grieving, but just like that initial grieving process, it got slowed down because I had to suppress a lot of my emotions because I didn't want to burden somebody with my emotions. So instead of, really laying it thick about how I felt, I used to just like really downplay it. And then, I suffered in the end. So in this case, I'm really sitting in my emotions, whether it's too much for someone or not. That kind of really tells me the type of people that I'm around. I feel like anybody who really loves you and cares for you will understand that this is a really difficult time, and you're not able to regulate your emotions at the time, and they will give you that grace. Unfortunately for me, I have had moments where I wanted to regulate my emotions, i.e., at work, and I wasn't able to. And I haven't been back since, but I just have to hope that there's some grace there, because at the end of the day, it's a loss. This is not, I didn't break up with my boyfriend or anything crazy like that. Um, this is a loss. So I would like to think that people understand that, you know, there's an emotional toll, and I'm not going to apologize for feeling how I wanted to feel. I did feel a little bit embarrassed at the time when I kind of really like calmed down. I felt like, oh my gosh, like that was so embarrassing. But at the end of the day, I had to give myself grace. I'm human, and I had to allow myself to feel, and I have to continue to allow myself to feel, because I didn't even reach the surface yet. There's still a lot of work to do, but I really want to start the episode. Sorry, not start the episode, start the season with this, because this is something that I feel has been weighing heavy. And this whole journey, even getting to this point, has been really, really stressful. Not only for me, but, for my loved ones and everyone else involved. And it's just been really difficult to kind of watch the emotions go up and down and up and down. And I just feel like at the end of the day, we do have to give ourselves grace to feel, regardless of what that looks like, and just being able to find outlets, whether it's writing, whether it's going outside for a walk. I'm so thankful that the weather is getting better, and I hope that it stays on this path, because I feel like outside is going to be, a very good therapeutic source for me. And just talking to people who maybe experienced a similar loss, or something to that nature. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. And, it's going to be a really, really difficult adjustment. But I definitely want to have further conversations with you guys about how you deal with loss in your adult years. Because, I mean, of course, as kids, we go through a lot when we're sad, but, we take time off of school or what have you. Whereas in your adult years, you kind of have to keep going, because bills don't stop, and responsibilities don't stop. So just being able to juggle that, I think, is something that I'm going to struggle with. So, if you guys have any tips or anything like that, that you can perhaps drop in the comment section, so that maybe I can utilize some of those tips, it would be really greatly appreciated. Maybe down the line, as I go through my process, I might open up more as to the loss. Maybe not, right now, I think I'm just comfortable stating that I experienced one. I don't know if I'm really comfortable saying what the loss was. It's still a little fresh. So I don't want to, break down while recording this, but, I definitely wanted to start off with this, because it is something that I am experiencing. It's very real, and I do feel like it's something that a lot of us can relate to, and be a community for each other, and really help each other through the process. There's no cap on grieving. It can be 1 month, 1 day, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. A loss is a loss, and everybody's grieving process is different. And sometimes, we can feed off of each other and our processes, things that maybe we didn't think we should try. Maybe someone else has tried and it's worked for them, so maybe we can try it for ourselves. But I definitely want to, open up the floor to you guys to be able to have these conversations, and just really be able to create that safe, vulnerable space for each other. So with that being said, I want to thank you all, everybody who supported me in season one. I hope that you guys continue to just share the content and just really rebrand podcast, because I know that podcast has a terrible stigma, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of people who are out there who have a lot to say, really really good things to say, but the society we live in, the negative stuff gets pushed further. And so that's kind of the face of the podcast brand. But I definitely want to continue to spread these positivity podcasts. I also want to be very open, grown, vulnerable, might be a little silly sometimes. I don't want to be like super, serious, but it doesn't have to be corny. It doesn't have to be aligned with all this foolishness just to be popular. I mean, hey, if I only get a couple listens, I'm happy with that. Thank you so much for your support. And until next time, cheers to a new episode of the Diaries of